I think you take that and we use a continuum model here. It's along the same lines, right? As in your evaluation process of the continuum starts off with pain, then goes to mobility, then strength, and then speed, and then performance ultimately. So if you look at somebody and they're coming in and pain's their biggest limiting factor, then the movement assessment doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, pain's it. Like, let's gotta get the pain down. I gotta put the fire out first and foremost, right? Mm-hmm. So you start with that. And then once that starts to calm, then you can kind of get into looking at some mobility and let's check those boxes. And the big boxes, like we said, was ankle, hip, and thoracic spine, but there could be some other details, elbow for sure. Maybe, anybody can have some stiffness somewhere. Find those spots and start to address those things if they affect the kinetic linking process, right? If it's going to move the needle. And then from there, it's about control, as Russ said. Russ said, I want to look at someone do it slowly and under control. Do you have that segmental control in your system? And we do a lot of work here as a group with our bulletproof process on looking at stability and control. Is really, really massive, and I think a missed area of so much in the way of sports performance and even sports medicine. So it's a huge factor. It's looking at control first, and then looking at strength building, and then ultimately, if you have all of that, power production, rotational power, explosive linear power, linear speed, those things should just fall into place and are really straightforward. You don't need any fancy drills or need to get nuts with that. And you can really dial in those patterns and get good at them if you don't have mobility deficits. And if you don't have control deficits, then those things become easy.
I think at that point, you've passed these tests, say you've gone through our continuum, and we checked a lot of boxes, and we've developed some good patterns, and we've got some good strength of the system. It's very appropriate to, whip out your phone, whip out some kind of a tablet and get some motion analysis. And that's where I think the research of looking at the throwing motion, the hitting motion, the sprinting motion, we all need to be nails here. This is if you're managing anyone with an ACL reconstruction, you need to know your shit when it comes to sprint mechanics and cutting mechanics. You can't just think, well, that's high level sports medicine. I don't really treat that population, and I let go of my ACLs at 3 or 4 months. You let them go because you don't know what else to do. And I think having some good tools in your skill set, being able to analyze that motion. If you don't know how, then you need to read, you need to follow some smart people, you need to listen to some smart people and figure out, get that motion analysis. And, I'm not sure how many books I've read on this, but I feel like the easiest way of looking at a run is I'll do a motion analysis of some ACL kid 6 months out, and I'll look, is that right side looking like the left side? I mean, that's always the best part about gait. I know with a hit or a throw, it gets a lot more dicey. You can't just look at, the left-hand throw versus the right-hand throw. But you really got to know your stuff when it comes to speed, analyzing speed.
And I think to that point, what we do in a lot of our facilities is we're teamed with performance coaches or sport coaches. And I think going to the expert is awesome. And when you can have that discussion with the expert, when the athlete is working back into the sport, when you can walk right over to their coach or walk right over to their weight room coach or whoever it is and have that discussion with them, it's always going to be the most authentic then. They're going to have the most real look at what's going on at that point in time, and you guys can kind of collaborate, and that's when I've seen the most success.
You gotta watch your people move at the end of the day. I mean, and move in as much in their environment as possible, right? So if they're a baseball guy and they throw, and you got a clinic where you've got 800 square feet and you got a trampoline, like that's not going to get it done. Ask them to videotape themselves from the front, from the side, and from the back, and then have them bring you that video or send it to you and take a look at it, because you've got to watch them compete. Because I think that's the thing. That's the kinetic linking in real life. And if you don't see that, you could have all of the boxes checked. This is the trickiest thing, is you can have all of the therapy stuff checked. Like FMS looks amazing. Their SFMA looks amazing. Their mobility looks amazing. Their control looks amazing. And then you watch them throw a ball and you're like, ooh, that's not amazing. That's interesting. And that's a problem because they're not linking the stuff together. And then it might be a coaching issue. It's like, let's find you a coach that can help you understand how to link this stuff together. Or if you're in that space as a rehab clinician or as a strength and conditioning coach, maybe that's you. But I can't emphasize enough, watch your people move in their environment. It's something that's very difficult for all of us because we're usually talking, whether it be in a weight room or in a PT's clinic or whatever it is, chiro office, you're in a building. And sports aren't really played inside small buildings. No. So if you want to know the truth, and I can't emphasize it enough, and as much as we try to send our clinicians out, and I go out every time to a football game if I can see it and get on the sideline and watch the game from the sideline, the speed of the game, the amount of impact, you cannot reproduce it in the building. Same thing with basketball. It's the speed of the game is insanity. You can't reproduce it. Same thing with baseball. On a dirt mound that's a little bit vulnerable, and you're going against a live guy, and you're trying to get him out, 27 times in a game. That's different.
I think it's the competitive component of it too,
Yes.
right? You can always be in a cage in baseball or in the practice gym basketball or whatever it is, but when it's a competitive thing, you're no longer thinking about the injury. Everything, all of that is out of your mind. Your one goal, to your point, is beat the guy in front of me or beat them at whatever task it is, and so everything else is out the window. So yeah, the competitive part of that is, I think, even the biggest key.
Yeah.
You can't replicate that in the game.